Celia, Blue, Marianne, Pipkin. What a week. I think I always start with this expression with this hello, hi there, it's your name. But that's always happening. Welcome to our 39th AVC Subcommittee meeting focused on protocol scope. This is the third week from quarter. Probably you already know the topics for today. As always, this has been organized by the two members, Sit Latin OX Root. Okay, these are the topics we're going to cover today. That includes as well, of course, the future of the AVCs, the roles of the AVCs. Which on you can start now and sharing your opinion on this decision. Do you believe this was a success? If you have anything also maybe to mention about you agree or disagree with what has been saying, or maybe not even that, but it's more like what do you think would be have improved. We're gonna focus on that specific point in a little bit. Just wanted to mention. Um, just give me 1 second. Okay, so we do have a guest today. Was last minute. Just let me confirm if it's here. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, non-builder. So we do have a guest. Thank you for coming because we were actually one of the topics was regarding the PullupLabs latest update, which of course involves a lot of this scope. Although with what I was mentioning about the launch season, that a lot had to do as well, and I encourage and recommend everyone to listen to our last week's recording because it explains a little bit more. I mean, Tadeo from Spark, or well, that used to work in Funnest Labs, gives their insight on the DAOs, on that tokenomics, on the governance structure, and now that we know that the structure will be, or the launch is going to be. We do not have a specific date yet. Yes, we don't have, but it's going to be first like the rebranding, and then it's going to be the new launch tokens, right? That means the new ST, new GT with their real names. Then it's going to be the new stake engine that, if I'm not mistaken, PullupLabs is going to take into account. But no, it's not from PullupLabs. It's actually from Dewis. And so I'm going to start by presenting our guest. I don't know if I'm gonna say your name well. The tagger I'm using, Gail. Hello, can you hear me well?
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfectly. First of all, thank you for coming. And let's start right away. So, can you please tell us a little bit about you and the experience that you have?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been working with the Maker protocol as an engineer for the past almost 2 years and a half now. And I'm one of the co-founders of Dewis, which is one of the ecosystem actors that one of the first ecosystem actors to work with the protocol under this new model after the core unit model has been disbanded. So we work primarily with spells and development of bespoke smart contract modules for the DAO, and also provide like some technical consultancy for other teams.
Thank you. Just to let you guys know, I think this is happening again. I think I'm having some trouble with the listening. So if you see that I'm leaving and coming back, it's for that main reason. I don't know why, but sometimes I have some issues with listening our guests. Probably something I have to update something, or I don't know. So as always, please, if you have any questions about these topics, we have from we have people from Dewi, so this is very important. Just let me know if you can listen to me. I'm sorry to ask you again, but
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
perfect. Okay, so what can you tell us with what the latest news that you can provide us when it comes to the work that you've been doing that involve, of course, the end game?
Yeah, for sure. Regarding the end game, Dewey's has been tasked with the development of some modules that will be used for yield farming, which is part of the new crypto economic model of of this new phase. So nothing is has been deployed yet. Like we're working towards it, but that's the main thing that we've been doing that is specific to the end game. And we've been doing some other development of bespoke smart contracts that like are related to the end game, but they are not exclusive to it. And other than that, like we work on spells on a bi-weekly cadence along with another team, and we take turns into writing the spell. So it works like this, like every 2 weeks more or less, like one of the teams will craft the spell, and the same team provides one reviewer, and the other reviewer comes from the second team, and we take turns doing that.
Yeah, I think we were like also very a part of it, not part of it, but we saw that every now and then you have like updates not only on the forum but also what you were doing, asking for feedback, asking for questions for community members, if to keep updated on what you were doing, the work with uh the Dewis in general, right? So and I do remember because I was like it was more like general, but also you had to ask for permission in the chat. I now I'm recalling it. So we do have more questions. So Adam Miller asks, what are the scenarios in which an individual or group involved in the process could introduce malicious code into the spell? For instance, I believe the governance facilitator could deploy a different spell and replace the original if it goes unchecked. Are there other similar cases that could occur? Thank you, Anna Builder.
Yeah, so anyone can deploy any smart contract at any time because this is a permissionless network. So yeah, they could do it, but here's how we put checks and balances this. So first of all, like it's not the governance facilitator that deploys the spell; it's actually the spell crafter. We have a process in place that mandates that a spell can only be deployed after it has received the approval of two different reviewers. And after that, we publish the address, like we deploy the spell, we verify the code on Etherscan or another source code repository that is available publicly. And only after that, like we publish in the new spells channel here on Discord, which is public, so anyone can see the contents. The crafter publishes it, the reviewers acknowledge them, and also the governance facilitator acknowledge them. So in this case, if the process is followed as it should, like there's no way of sneakily replacing the spell address. Of course, like there are always some level of trust that you must have, but we have the right checks and balances in place to prevent like anyone from single-handedly sneaking something into there. Like, of course, we all know each other, and like if people wanted to collude and to do that, it would be very hard to avoid that problem because this is not a complete trustless process at the moment.
And also to add to that, there is this comment from Clucky. It says the scenarios are numerous and detailed within the governance security data dump. While it is comprehensive, it does require significant effort to parse through. For instance, a potential issue could arise from collusion between the spellcrafter and reviewers. Do you want to add anything else to this?
Yeah, that's the reason why we have reviewers from different teams. So it would be harder to coordinate on that. Like DWIS and Sidestream, the two teams working on spells right now, they are like independent entities. And the idea is that in the future we will have more teams doing that, and we could establish some sort of rotation that is unpredictable by doing some sort of random choosing of crafters and reviewers, and that would make the coordination even harder. But yeah, at this moment, I wouldn't say it is completely trustless because the reason why we have so like only two teams is like because these two teams, they are trusted by the community, by the facilitators from the ecosystem scope to carry out this task, and that's pretty much it. I don't think I can add anything else.
Thank you. There are already, and I'm loving it. There are already more questions and comments. I first want to mention that this the reason why we reach out to you to get to know more about the work on Dewis. It's actually a suggestion from our AD Julia Chan, and basically since there is this new I mean, the drafters role involves a lot of governance security and governance risk. So basically, to for you to tell us and to break down this topic, like specifically to understand a little bit more how does governance risks or what to take into account and how we can or yeah how can we be able to cover them like governance risk. And yes, probably this is very extent, right? But I want to be specific on the post that I'm going to share also your mirror post. So and also I've
Okay.
seen that on the chat they are sharing. Yeah, yeah, go ahead please.
Yeah, so the very nature of maker governance security is that this is a very old contract. It was designed before we got like the contracts that are the most commonly used out there. So we have, I think, the compound governance. We have like the governor Alpha, Governor Bravo. They all have like specific design. They are similar in many senses. What is unique about MakerDAO governance is that it favors stability over change. So, for instance, if you ever supported a spell before and you want to oppose a specific spell at a given point, you basically have to do nothing. If your vote power stays with a node spell which has already been cast, it is enough to secure the protocol. So this is one of the features that most people don't get about this, but it is important that people like actually use their governance tokens to secure the system, and that's how it's been working since the inception of MakerDAO. Since like pretty much when we had single collateral die, it works pretty much the same. So that's the the most important line of defense, because like no action actually means like keeping the protocol secure. So in order to get someone to in order for someone to pull an attack on, let's say, a faulty spell, they would have to convince everyone that that spell was correct, and get enough support to be able to cast a new spell. And the steps for that are explained in the article that has been linked here. I can let me paste the link to. This is the link to the blog. Let me paste the link to the post itself. So it explains with some nice memes how the entire process works. There's a little bit of code there, but like you don't have to understand code to be able to understand this article. Did I answer your question? Like, do you have any other specific risks in mind so we can go over them?
Not specific. I think that it's. I would like the drafters that are here to take the moment to ask for this, because yeah, I don't know, how do you see the link between the drafters role in governance security, if you would like to mention something about it. But we do have a comment on the chat from Alan Builder as well. It says, oh yeah, I saw you open your mic.
Yeah, there's a question regarding the executive doc and the executive sheet, right? So here's how it works. Like, the executive sheet is a Google spreadsheet, which is controlled by governance facilitators, and they use it to support the spell process before the executive doc is finished. Because what happens is that, like, executive doc is something that defines the content of the spell, and usually it takes a long time for them to actually get the executive doc in the final form. So in order to not delay the process that much, we use the executive sheet as a supporting material for crafting the spell before the executive doc is finalized. But the executive sheet should match whatever is in the executive doc. So usually the crafter will use the executive sheet, but when it's time for reviewers to actually review the spell, they will base themselves on the executive doc and on the sheet as well, like to make sure they are up to date with each other. The executive doc is published on GitHub. It's also done by the governance facilitators. The repo is public, and anyone can inspect the contents at any time. There's another question about delegates reviewing the code. Yeah, if the code is public, like the code is verified, so anyone that understands Solidity a little bit can review the code and check if there are any problems. And actually, I think a couple of months ago, one of the delegates caught an error that went live in one of the spells. Like, we had 0.05 extra MKR being transferred for one of the delegates by mistake, and like that skipped both reviewers and also governance. Hopefully, this was like a very small mistake. It was worth, I think, around $90 back then. So, and it was easily fixable. So, like, we could simply transfer a little bit less to the same delegate in the subsequent pay. But yeah, usually this shouldn't happen. So we made changes to the process to avoid mistakes in such cases. Like, we added like a checksum to the amounts being transferred, and we also ensure that every amount being transferred is specified both in the exec sheet and in the exec doc with 2 decimals, no matter if it's a whole number or not. Like, it will always have 2 decimals.
yeah, that wasn't like a very risky, let's say, mistake. It was yes a mistake, but it didn't like put the protocol in risk or in danger. But it's necessary so you can take some actions. What would happen if it was not a minimum amount but a bigger amount? So yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
to,
good
to, to
thing that it was
prevent.
just a small amount. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it happened because like there were some amounts that had two decimals. The other amounts had the only one decimal, and none of these amounts like was misread by everyone, and it happened. But now this shouldn't happen again because like the sheet has been changed. Also, like we added some specific tests for this to make sure that the amount being transferred, like it sums up to a checksum. And if it's off, like we will know early in the process.
It's good to know that this one happened again, since you are really taking this into account.
Yes,
It
yes.
says if you, as a trusted member of DEWIS, were inclined to exploit the system maliciously, how might you go about it? Do you believe there are any vulnerabilities that you could exploit?
Yeah. Single-handedly, it would be impossible to do it because one of the tests that, like how would it work in theory? I could craft a spell that looks legit, but I would like under the hood deploy a different spell that does something different. However, there are some automated tests that compare the local bytecode compiled from the spell that the reviewers are working on against the bytecode of the spell that is deployed on chain. If they don't match, then it will raise alarms. It will look very suspicious, and yeah, the process will simply halt at that point. So, in order to do that, I would have to collude with the other reviewers, and most likely, but the same thing can be carried out by the governance facilitators and anyone, like any delegate that has access. The repository is public, so if anyone wants to check that, they would be able to do so. And if they found a mismatch, then it would not look good for us, and it would simply there are so many ways that someone can prevent this from happening that I don't think it's feasible at this point. Even though it's possible, but there is always someone looking into this, and like we don't even know who is looking because everything is public. So yeah, anyone trying to pull this off, like they would have to be very lucky or like convince a whole bunch of people that this would be a good thing. So I don't think it's feasible, even though it's technically possible.
Blue, who is a drafter, is asking, can you talk a bit about the difference we can expect from Subdao spells compared to spells from Maker Core? And do you have any knowledge about when we start seeing Subdao spells?
Yeah, so Spark is already a subDAO. Pretty much, it works like an isolation layer in such that subDAO spells cannot affect any parameter, any contract. They can't do anything effectively on core contracts. So, but the other way around is correct. Like the subDAOs are controlled by the core in the current architecture. So Spark, as you probably know, is a fork of Aave. And to be honest, like I have very little familiarity with Aave codebase with Spark. But the system is designed in a way that like we don't need to know. We simply treat it as a black box. The Maker Core main governance contract controls this another like there's this component which is the governance proxy. All right, everything on the core is owned by the core governance proxy. All right. Each subDAO will have its own subDAO proxy. The subDAO proxies are controlled by the core proxy. So anytime we need to execute an action on Spark, for instance, the flow goes like this, like from the core proxy, the core governance proxy, it activates the Spark proxy, and then it will execute in the context of the Spark proxy. But from that context, it's not possible to make any changes or updates to the core. They are only allowed to act within Spark itself, and that will be replicated by other subDAOs.
I think that this also is kind of like some information at some point. Of course, you are way more expert into the topic of spells. Yeah, we were discussing also how was Spark, Spark itself and Spark Land, like the tokenomics, and also not only that, but how independent in reality was going to be, or like the advantages of disadvantages of this governance structure. Very interesting, actually. True Name asks, are there OPay security best practices that teams follow to prevent your individual user accounts from being hijacked and operated by someone else?
So, actually, like there's no individual user account that holds any special sort of privilege in the system. The system is designed this way, so everything is owned by this governance proxy. Like whenever we deploy a new contract, we what we usually do is like right after we deploy it, we transfer ownership to the governance proxy, and there's no way reclaim that to reclaim that ownership back. The only aspect I would say is like we have some operational accounts that we use mainly for deploying contracts, and these accounts they hold like some ether to pay for gas. So I think that that's the only part of the entire system that is liable. So if someone gets a hold of one of these private keys that we use for deploying, they could steal part of the funds. But other than that, like we try to not keep a lot of funds there, and we try to minimize it. Like we try to optimize, not be required to request for new money every time, but also like we don't like to put a huge amount of ether there, so that the risk is controlled. Back in the days of protocol engineering, they had the practice of sharing the deployer keys. So they would, by some secure mediums, exchange the private keys and like reuse them. We As we evolved from the core unit model to a more decentralized one with different entities, like we thought that this would be a risk. So we decided to stop doing that, and each developer they generate a new deployer key, and like we can know for sure that is a new one because we can check the history of the transactions there, and they're encouraged to not share that with anyone, to not put that in any tool that is not necessary, and to use it solely for deploying and making transactions on behalf of MakerDAO.
Oh, thank you. I think that it's probably some of these details are already on the documents, but it's also very good to actually to listen to what you have to say in order to this. Sometimes it's even more clear that when it's this way. About it, your name says, understood, just to protect that whoever is operating as you is actually you. And we're addressing impersonation risk for individual actors, not the specific of the spell process directly. That's why I asked if this involves the your work as a drafter, true name. And then any work, okay, any work, any communication. Oh yeah, well, yeah, that it is even more important now. Anna Buter asks, can a few 80s collude to execute a spell crafted by them? How much MKR will they need it to do it? Isn't it a threat to the system considering 80s are anonymous and could be the same person that managed to get MKR delegated to them?
Yeah, that's completely possible from at least from a technical perspective because the protocol is completely permissionless. So anyone can deploy a spell, anyone can vote for it, and like once it obtains the control of the governance module, then it can be executed. The amount of MKR that is required to do so is the amount of MKR that is allocated to the current spell. So like we can check that right now. Let us go to vote.makerDAO.com. Let's see which is the spell. So currently the latest executive that was executed got 112,977 MKR. So you need at least that amount plus one way worth of MKR to be able to pull this attack. So let me see how much that translates into MKR to USD. So that is 345,969,666 US dollars at the prices of today.
Okay, that I mean, again, thank you for the exact amount. I think this is perfect. But to complement the True Names comment, and they are giving actually Clock is giving an example, and this is perfect. I think that the best way that we can prevent all types of risk is to put in situations and to be as best the most specific as we can. So Clocky says, someone hijacking a spell reviewer's GitHub account and signing off on a malicious spell. Like, what are the chances that this can happen?
Yeah, they will have to do that for both reviewers at the same time. And like they will also have to get access to their Discord because the process mandates the confirmation of the spell being handed over to be done by the person, the reviewer, which was assigned to the spell in the public new spells channel. So like, yeah, the attacker will have to hijack both both the GitHub account and the Discord account of both reviewers at the same time to be able to do it, and also collude with the crafter.
So if you could put that into a percentage, like it's like I don't know, 50% or like 90% or 0%.
Yeah, it's really hard to quantify that because like we're talking about a process like officially we have 3 people involved, but extra officially like anyone looks into it. Like I for myself, for instance, I wasn't part of the spell roster of this week. Like I'm not an official reviewer, but I'm looking at the content and I found a small issue that I flagged to the guys. So like there is always everyone watching. So I don't think is feasible, but I don't know how to quantify this, to be honest. Like I think like for instance in Dewey's organization on GitHub, we mandate that every developer has two-factor authentication enabled. So in order for someone to hijack the account of someone, like they would have to hijack their phone and get access to their Google Authenticator. And like if you can also do that for Discord, so if people are mindful about security, I would say it's pretty much impossible to pull this attack.
Okay, I think that we are asking a lot about this. Well, I don't know, but since there are, I mean, delegates are anonymous, and I don't know if you know, but several delegates have been taken down because of their governance, the security. They have been, in a way or another, their privacy has been acknowledged. So that involves, of course, security. And so, yeah, we will ask a lot of questions when it comes to security, and also because of the fact that we have to take into account, I think, more now, I mean, always, but now more than ever, with uh we are getting closer and closer to the launch season, and what all of this that involved. So yeah, just to kind of to put it out, but doesn't matter, like it helps a lot what you mentioned. Like it's not that I needed to hear in specific quantity, but just how you are aware of this situation or possibility. Now, Blue.
Yeah, those aspects of like OPSEC, they are like not exclusive to MakerDAO, to crypto. Like they are for pretty much everyone. Like it can be even worse, like in traditional environments, because like everything that we produce at MakerDAO is public either way. So this is not a problem like information leaking. But yeah, like this sort of mindfulness of the security aspects of like your credentials, the tools you use, like it's something that we take very seriously. And yeah, as we said, like we identified one of potential vector of attacks would be like the sharing of private keys for deployer accounts, and we decided to stop doing that. So that was one of specific action that we took. As for like GitHub, for GitHub organizations, like we don't have access, or like we don't have a way to influence other teams' accounts on GitHub to enforce. There's an option on GitHub that you can enforce that anyone that is part of your organization enables two-factor authentication, but I can only do that for organizations that I control. So we for sure do that. I'm pretty much confident that Sidestream does this as well, but I'm not sure about like other teams. I'm not sure about governance facilitators. I would say they do, because like they inherited all the knowledge of the old GovAlpha team. They were trained by them, so I guess that they try to strive for security. I also know, like for instance, they are very cautious on how they access Discord and things like that. They are always behind the VPN. They are trying to protect their identity because it's important. But yeah, other than that, like yeah, it's just like having good how I put this, having good online hygiene, like but that goes for anyone these days. Like a lot of our lives are online, so if we don't take care, like if we reuse passwords, if we use like weak passwords, somehow like data will get leaked, and we're gonna have our accounts hijacked at some point. But we try to avoid that to the best of our abilities.
Totally, yes. We call it actually on-chain hygiene internally, but yeah, I completely agree on that. Blue mentioned, which difficulties do you see, if any, in having governance security implemented into the Atlas framework? And here's the specific question. Some parts are immutable, some are not, and the procedures are likely to be quite prescriptive detailed. Do you have any hopes you would like to express for us to take us into account when drafting?
Yeah. So the reality is like not a lot of things are immutable these days, but we will for sure move towards that direction in the future. Like we foresee that the core will become pretty much ossified in the future, and everything that requires changing is gonna be pushed into subDAOs, because that's the way that we can contain, we can limit the amount of risk being taken. Like if one subDAO they fuck up, like in theory, it shouldn't affect the other sub DAOs, and we're gonna try to move towards that direction. But to be honest, I don't know like how this is gonna look in the future because like we're too early for that. So sorry to not be able to give a more concrete answer at this point.
Yeah, we understand. This is the thing always is like, yeah, we don't have that, or it's confidential. We don't know yet. So yeah, we're kind of used to this. But bringing back uh, first name question, it was whether there are specific best practice rules the team follow to protect their to protect their accounts. Can you tell us?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Sure. Let me just read. Our original question was whether there are specific best practice rules the team follows to protect their accounts.
Yeah, I guess it's the things that I just talk a little bit about, like having 2FA enabled for everything, like using VPNs, not sharing private keys, all of that combined. That there's nothing specific to MakerDAO or to crypto in general. Like it's just like regular, good old online hygiene taken seriously.
Yes, we discussed this a few minutes ago. So yes, I don't know if there is any other question. What advice would you give to drafters? Like, why can they make the most of their work when it comes to give uh maker, right? The most value they can.
Well, I guess like the best way is just being like this watcher that because like a big part of like the game theoretic aspect of it is that like people they need to behave because they don't know who's watching. So they don't if they try to they try to collude, they try to misbehave somehow like they would have to be very lucky because somewhere there is someone that can understand what's going on and like they can call you out in a minute and like since like we're anons in a sense that like we try to protect our identity but my unknown has like a reputation at least within like this community so like if I fuck up I'll most likely not be able to keep working with the protocol and like if the word spread and like people like of course I could always come back and like with another alias and try to be someone else but for sure there are ways to like identify it as myself so for instance I'm talking here so anyone could use voice recognition software if I were to come back with a different alias in the future so I think like the best way to for people to collaborate is like always apply that maximum on that we have like that saying we have in crypto that is don't trust verify so keeping the checks and balances in place is the thing that is the most important here I'd say.
Yeah, and what do you think about now that, of course, delegates in the past were not anons, right? Do you think that this is better for? I don't know if you have an opinion on this. This is better for governance in general.
Yeah, I'd say that whether you build your reputation around a name, a real name, or like an alias, like with it's just an avatar on the internet, it makes no difference because like anyone can be anyone online. So I could like pretend I'm someone else, like with a real name, real pic, and like create a whole sort of fake online fingerprint that would people would think that I'm a real person, but in reality I'm not. So I don't think there's a way around it. So it doesn't make much of a difference. And as I said, like there are ways like to know if someone like let's say someone is an unknown and like they did something that the community didn't like, and they try to come back with another identity. Like there are ways like to be able to at least put the trust on that new identity in check. Like you could use voice analysis software, you could use like tools that analyze the way people write. There's a name for that, I don't remember right now, but like you could like with certain degree of certainty, you could know if that's the same person as before. So if someone just like ventilates that possibility, like that new identity usually will lose the trust of the community itself, and like you can repeat this process ad eternum, and it's not foolproof, of course. Like, and someone has to actually put the effort to prove that that person is the same one as before, but like it's completely doable. So I think in the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you are unknown or not. Like I think having the right incentives, the right checks and balances is what will move us forward, regardless of if we're a bunch of avatars on the internet or like real persons talking to each other.
That's a very interesting point of view. And when it comes to regarding, well, we have discussed a little bit about the drafters' work and well, the questions they have. We don't have that much information yet about the reviewers. I don't know if you know anything, or how is that dynamic involving the drafters in for example US, like do you have like workshops internally, or do you have like a chat group and you collaborate with the drafters? How is it how do you work together?
Uh, Sorry for the potentially dumb question, but like, what is that you are calling a drafter?
Oh, it's like the new roles for the specific ecosystem actors that are going to be involved in the next generation atlas and are like changing certain I don't know, like articles and involved that now are very involved into risk governance or risk security. And actually AVCs, and this AVC, Sovereign Finance AVC, was going to be a reviewer, but things have completely changed. And the main reason why we have you here, it's because of that, because now drafters, that some of them are here, it's Blue, it's True Name, it's Clocky, well, they are involving into kind of like creating or redesigning the atlas in a way. This has been for a long time, but it has had many changes. So far is this way with these two roles. And again, it was supposed to be that AVCs are going to be the reviewers of the work that the drafters were gonna make, but now it has changed. My question was regarding that if you are, but I guess it's no. The answer is no. But
Yeah, to be honest, like it's kind of hard to follow everything and like keep up with the day-to-day work. So yeah, most of the time, like we something new pops up and we need like, okay, so what's this new thing? Because if we try to follow like end game on a day-to-day basis, but at some point it just became invisible. But as of like speaking of communications, like well, we are here on Discord, so anyone is free to ping us, either me or Effie or the crypto or the other guys like that you see has like the Dewey's badge. So this has been like everyone is from our team. Like this is handled by the governance facilitators. We also do have our own Discord server that we encourage people to join if they want to discuss things that are specific to what we've been working on. And yeah, I think that's a two-way street. Like whenever we have something that we need input from you guys, like we come and ask, and you can always count on us as well for that. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think this is a it's very interesting. It's not yeah, there are so many things happening at the same time that it's very understandable. But I think I want to believe that there are no other questions that the delegates or community members have in general regarding this topic. If you do, this is the moment to ask. If not, well, first of all, thank you so much. I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add that you haven't mentioned regarding governance security, risk security, this spells in a specific that you haven't mentioned yet. Please go ahead.
No, I don't think so. I think yeah, no, we covered quite a few things, and yeah, if anything, any other question pops up, so feel free to reach out and ask them, like in either DMs or public channels. So yeah,
Perfect. So thank you so much. Can you tell me how can I pronounce your username so I don't misread it?
it's amusing Axel.
Okay, I'm using Excel. Perfect. That was easy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. And to all the questions, there were actually a lot of questions regarding this, and I'm pretty sure it has to do because they're working on this. So thank you everyone. And we have quite a few minutes. If you would like to stay, if you have to leave, it's up to you. I'm using Excel. But there are certain, I think we have just for one last topic, although I think it will be best to give it to for next week. I think we're all very excited regarding the fact that finally we're gonna have some news on the reviewer side, even though yes, AVCs are going to leave. I just want to mention that in sovereign finance AVC are going to continue working. We're going to have every call. I mean, every week with the position documents, everything the same. Because yes, the post mentions that there are going to be no more AVCs, but it doesn't specify when. Until then, yeah, everything is going to remain the same. And what we do suggest is to let us know what's the best way for this quarter to make the most of it. So you already know our dynamics. So if you have any suggestion on that, please let us know. We are very eager to Elvis meeting in this morning for viewers, even though of course we know that it's gonna be with the new roles. It's I yeah everyone please should go. And we have all these new topics that probably if it involves a stability scope we are going to cover them, if not in the next protocol scope. Please be I'm very excited for next scope because we have a possible guest. I'm not gonna mention yet, but it's a very interesting scope scene with all the changes that are happening. And also again I encourage you to watch Tadeo's recording call that we have last week. It has a lot of details on the SPK token, on the Spark Land, on the subgovernance, DAO governance structure. And also we'll discuss a little bit of our idea for next week where, from Janma's idea that actually it was also covered in Maker a few years ago. That is all, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye bye.